Okay, today we're going to look at what to do if you need to write a two-step equation and then solve it. So in verbal form, they're telling us what to do, but they're not showing us what happened. So we're used to seeing like 3x plus 20 equals 35 and solving for x, but we don't have that right here, so we want to look for some keywords and phrases to help us out. So I'm going to go through a couple of these, not do all 10, but just to kind of get you set up so you can try the other ones if you'd like to make sure you understand what happened. So if your teacher, that way you can use this. So let's say that if I do number 1, but I don't do number 2, you can pause the video and try this one out and then reach out to your teacher and see if you got that one right. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So I'm going to show you how to do this and also in a couple other problems that are a little bit lengthier in a word problem formula. So what I'm going to do is kind of highlight or circle or do anything that I can to help me look for those key words. So 7 more than. More than can mean like the greater than sign or plus. So let's look. 7 more than 3 times a number is 16. So 7 more than 3 times a number. Break it down. 3 times a number is something else we're going to look at. And then is 16. So if something is 16, that means you know what it's worth. So right there, we're breaking it down. So now we know 7 more means we're going to add 7. 3 times a number, we can say 3n or 3x or anything like that. So now we know 7 more than 3 times a number is 16. Now if you get confused, put something here that you know. Let's pretend this said 7 more than 5. Well, wouldn't that mean that you're doing 7 plus 5? So when you're looking at that, because we'll have a variable, that's what we need to do. So I'm going to write with the coefficient first and then the variable. That's how we're normally going to see it. Then I'm going to write the constant. And then is 16 means it totals to 16. So you could write it like that. Or we could have said 7 more than 3 times a number is 16. So we want to break the statement out step by step. These two means the same thing. Either way we want to write that because with addition, commutative property states that we can change the order. So let's go ahead and solve it. And I'm going to solve it the way that they wrote it. 7 more than 3 times a number is 16. We want this letter n by itself, so you're going to get rid of this positive 7 with a negative 7. That cancels out. And you have 3n. 16 combined with 7 negatives, or 16 minus 7, is going to give you 9. And we want to get that variable by itself. The coefficient is 3. The coefficient right in front of the letter n means that we are multiplying, so the opposite of multiply by 3 is divide by 3. And that cancels out, and we have a prediction that n is going to be 3. Again, we can always check our work. If you take 3 and substitute it right here, 3 times 3 is 9, and 7 plus 9 is 16, so you know that you're right. Or you can substitute it in this one, and you get the same answer. All right, let's try another one. So let's look at number 2. 7 more than the quotient of a number in negative 2 is 6. So the first thing my brain sees is the is 6. So I know that something's going to total to 6. If something is that amount, that's your final answer. Well, 7 more than means adding 7. Now this is what we have to look at. The quotient of a number and negative 2. So the quotient is the answer to a division problem. So that means I'm going to take some number and divide it by negative 2. Okay? So again, normally you're going to see the variable first, but if we're saying 7 more than, because we're adding, we could say 7 more than the quotient of a number and negative 2. Because we're adding, we could have put that 7 first. Or you could have written it with the coefficient is actually negative 2, just because the coefficient's not in front of the letter, the coefficient is the number working with that letter or that variable. So the negative 2 is the coefficient. So 7 more then the quotient of a number in -2 is 6. This is how most commonly you'll see it, but because this was addition, we could have written it either way. So now we're going to solve. So again, same process. We want this variable by itself, so we got to get rid of the constant, this +7. So we add 7 negatives to both sides. This cancels out. It gets you n over -2 on the left. 6 minus 7, or 6 combined with 7 negatives, is going to be -1. Then we have to do the opposite of what we see. We see divide by 2, so we get rid of divide by 2 by -2, excuse me. If you see divide by -2, you're going to multiply by -2 because inverse operations cancel out. -1 times a -2 is a +2. And again, you can check your work so you're not second guessing yourself and saying, I hope I get it right. If you put your 2 right here, 2 divided by -2 is -1. 7 combined with the -1 is +6. Same thing over here. 2 divided by -2 is -1. -1 plus 7 is +6. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Let's try a couple more. I'm going to skip down to number 7. It says, so let's try number 7. The product of a number and 4 plus 2 is 14. All right, let's break it down. The product of a number and 4 plus 2, so that means that's the operation I'm going to do right there, is 14. So I see the is 14. I'm going to put that there. Product means the number that you're answer to a multiplication. So if it says the product of a number and 4, that means you're multiplying those two things. So instead of saying x plus 4 or n times 4, I'm going to use the 4 as my coefficient. A number in front of a letter means multiplication. So this does represent the product of a number and 4. And then it says plus 2. So you have to be very careful because and could mean addition, but in this situation, the product of a number and 4, you had to see what you were multiplying. So there's my two-step equation. So now I'm going to solve for n. Again, we want to get the 4 n's by itself and ultimately get 1 n by itself, one it out. So the opposite of plus 2 is adding 2 negatives to the board, or opposite of plus 2 is subtract 2, however you see that. These two cancel out. Gets me 4n over the left. And 14 minus 2, or 14 combined with 2 negatives, is going to be 12. And then 4 n's are sharing 12, so I want to see how much 1 n is worth. So I do the opposite of multiplying by 4, which is divide by 4. And I get 12 divided by 4 is exactly 3. So again, substitute that back in. The product of a number and 4, well, the product of 4 and that number 3 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14, so you know that it checks out. Okay, let's try 2 more. Let's try number 8 and 9. So number 8 says 8 less than the quotient of a number and 3 is 5. I see the is 5 first. So 8 less than the quotient of a number and 3. So 8 less, that means I'm going to be subtracting 8. And what am I subtracting 8 from? That's the next part. The quotient of a number and 3. But on this one, I'll put number 8 over here for you. So this is number 8, this was number 7. With subtracting, it makes a difference of where it goes. So if I'm saying 8 less than 10, did I do 8 minus 10 or 10 minus 8? 8 less than 10. Okay? 8 less than 10. So something about like that. You're taking away 8 from 10. So that means I'm subtracting 8 from whatever I list here. So 8 less than the number and 3. The quotient of a number, quotient means the answer to division. So the quotient of a number, some number divided by 3, 8 less than that gets me to 5. So you have to be very careful. It even took me a time or two to reread that over and over to make sure I got it. So let's see. 8 less, that means I'm subtracting 8. I'm subtracting it from the quotient of a number and 3. So some number divided by 3 gives me my quotient. So again, we want these letter n's by itself, so we get rid of the constant. So the opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. So that leaves me an n divided by 3 on the left. 5 plus 8 is 13. 13. And then I see divide by 3, so I have to do the opposite. So some number divided by 3 got me to 13. So I need to do the opposite of divide by 3, which is multiply by 3. And that's going to cancel out. And 13 times 3 is going to be 39. So again, just take your time reading through these. 8 less than the quotient of a number and 3. Well, that quotient of the number was 39 divided by 3, which would have gotten me 13. And 8 less than 13 is 5. So take your time on these. We don't want you rushing through. Okay? So let's try one more. Let's try number 9. It says the difference of twice a number and 3 is 11. So again, it helps me see what my total answer is. So the difference of twice a number and 3. So on this one, we know that we're subtracting, so we see the keyword for difference. Twice a number means you're multiplying 2n. Oh, I forgot to put this over here, n over 3. So the difference between that and 3. So we're subtracting that. Now this is where it gets a little weird. Let's pretend this said the difference of 10 and 3. Well, 10 minus 3 is 7. So that's where it kind of helps you out. So if you're not sure where this variable part goes, put a number that you know how to work with, and your brain will tell you how to set it up. So again, if I said the difference between 20 and 3, you would tell me 17. You would subtract 20 minus 3. So that tells you that we're going to put the 2 in first. The difference between twice a number and that 3 is going to be 11. So here again, you have to read carefully because and usually means addition, but they needed that and to show you what you were subtracting. So it gets a little time, and we'll help you guys out with it. So we want to get the n by itself. So the opposite of subtract 3 is add 3. And then we're going to do 2n is on the left. 11 plus 3, or 11 with 3 positives, is 14. So 2 n's are sharing 14. I want to know how much 1 n is worth. So the opposite of multiply by 2 is divide by 2. And that gets me n is equal to 7. And here again, I can plug that back in. Twice a number, well, the number is 7, so 2 times 7 is 14. And the difference of 14 and 3, yep, 14 minus 3 is exactly 11. Okay, so try the other problems out and see what you might be able to do on that part. But before we go, I want to show you some word problems to get you ready for. We're going to talk about inequalities later on, but let me show you with some word problems. So in this one, I'll do this for the highlighted ones for you. It says the local carnival offers 2 ways to pay. Option 1 pays $36 per day plus a $2.50 per ride. Option 2 offers a $12 per day fee plus $4.50 per ride. Write an equation to represent a situation where the amounts are the same for the number of rides are in one day. So if they're the same, we're setting them equal to each other. Write an equation to represent a situation where the amounts are the same. So basically, we're trying to set option 1 and option 2 to be the same. So let's break this down. Option 1 charges $36 per day plus $2.50 per ride. So if we think about it, we're just looking at it for one day. That's what we want to know. They're giving our variables R. Our R represents our rides. So on option 1, it's $2.50 per ride, but you got to pay to get in. So they're just talking about one day, so we're going to say plus 36. So before you ride any rides, you've paid $36, and you're going to pay $2.50 for every ride after that. So we're going to talk more about those unit rate words coming up, but this is just to get us ready for that. Option 2, so we're setting it equal to this amount, and we're going to look and says option 2 offers a $12 per day. So that one day that you're going in, you're paying a $12 amount. And you're also paying $4.50 per ride. So $4.50 per ride. Okay? Now I wrote the variables first. Technically speaking, if you wanted to, you could have written it exactly how they told us. They said $36 per day, and then plus the $2.50 per ride. You can just write it just like it says it right there. And that would be equal to $12 per day. So you pay the $12 before you even ride a ride. And then you're adding $4.50 per ride. So again, commutative property, we could switch these around. 250 times an amount plus 36 is going to give you the same sum of 36 plus 250 times that amount. Okay, so just commutative property, we can change order with addition and multiplication. So that's why this works out. All right, let's look at one more and then we'll get you started on your practice. So we're not going to solve that. We're just going to write them. We're just writing that for one day, but if we needed to, we can have our variables on both sides from that previous lesson. So we would move a variable, set it up as then move one of the numbers, set it up as a two-step equation. Two-step equation for you, okay? So we know how to do that. But right now we're going to solve it. We're just going to set it up. All right, let's look at one more together. Let's look at number 5. It says, Champion Cable Company charges $29.99 per month for basic cable service plus $5.99 per month for HD channels. Adventure Cable charges $15.99 for basic cable plus $7.50 per month for the HD channels. If C represents the number of HD channels, write an equation that will represent when the two companies will charge the same amount. So the reason why we're showing you to do this is that this is real life stuff, because sometimes it's better for you to choose one company over the other. When you look at this, you might say, well, that price is better over here than it is there, but we're actually going to look at it and see, depending on how many HD channels you want, one might be better than the other. So you might pay a bigger cost up front, but in the long run, it might be a better choice for you. So let's look at that. So Champion Company charges $29 per month, and we're only looking at 1 month at a time. So that's $29 per month, and then plus $5.99 per month for those HD channels. Okay, so $5.99 for the HD channels. And they're telling me right here that C is represent the HD channels. Adventure Cable charges a flat rate of $15.99, so it's a little bit cheaper, and then $7.50 per month for the HD channels. So it's a little bit cheaper for the first company than the second company for the HD channels, but this one has a higher flat rate than this one. Flat rate means something you only pay once. So if we set that up, basically again, we're looking for the Champion Cable to be equal to the Adventure Cable. So if we set that up, we can write the Champion Cable first is $29.99 plus the $5.99 for every HD channel. So I know that that's going to go in front of my variable, because think about it. If it's about $6 for every channel and you buy 3 channels, well, 6 times 3 is 18. So if that helps you out for place numbers that you know how to do, so you know where that variable goes, how you know how to work with, excuse me. Sorry, I got a little stuttered right there. Then Adventure Cable is $15.99 for basic cable. So whether you get HD channels or not, you're paying for that $15.99 for your cable, but plus, keyword is plus, $7.50 per month for every HD channel you got. So again, we're just practicing setting it up, but if we were to solve it, we would move the variables to one side to set it up to a two-step equation and work from there.